What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? We got an amazing show planned for you today. Going to be talking, all about spring special. Whether it's getting your financial house in order, or maybe some honeydews or home renovations, thinking about getting that house listed for sale. We're going to tell you what some of the best returns on investments. I think you'll be surprised at what is.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
So stick around as we go live on MortgageGumbo.com. What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein right here on iHeartRadio. And I'm your host, Dwayne Stein, the Gulf South Mortgage Authority. This is your home show where for 10 plus years, been providing education and options on what is or will be your largest investment and most valuable asset, your home. If you're new to the show, welcome to the Gumbo Nation. We welcome you with open arms. We're the melting pot of education and options of all things your home. This is what we do, and we do it in a nice, fun format, and the only way I know how to do it, we keep it real. We encourage your participation. If you want to join the show, 504-260-0995, or as many of you do, you could shoot an email to info@mortgagegumbo.com. And if I can get to you on the show, I will. If not, you get to speak to me during the week. Everybody's always amazed, like, hey, I can't believe I'm speaking to you. Well, yeah, it's my business. Let's rock and roll. Let's get some answers and get some things done. Hey, home away from the show is mortgagegumbo.com. Or you can go check out all the social media sites, all that fun stuff. Just Google Dwayne Stein. You'll find, not only will you find a ton of 5-star reviews, but you could go check us out, YouTube, all that, all the videos, Facebook, all that fun stuff. With TikTok and, while it's still here, Instagram, all that fun stuff. On the show today, we'll call this like a spring special today. We're going to give you, if you're thinking about listing your homes or maybe some honeydews that are coming up, we're going to give you some of the top renovation projects with your best return on investment. And, and then also just sort of getting your financial house, spring financial house cleaning. How get rid of some of that clutter. Give you some great tips there that I follow, and I think that's good for you, even if you're not a homeowner, right? Even if you're not. So just to help get yourself organized. Got PCE came out. That's the government's biggest measure that they follow. That came out yesterday. We'll talk about that. Give you my opinions on Powell and what we've got going on there. Couple just did you knows that I was pretty astounded with when I heard that share with you also. And then buy now, pay later. We just brought it back up last week. Well, they scored a win this week. CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I don't know how much longer they're going to be around, but as of right now, they just got a big win in the courts this week because they were trying to get them to follow the same rules that credit cards have. And, while I agree they're not a credit card company, but the biggest thing that they were trying to get them to follow was statements, right? Credit card holders are required they have to get you a statement out every billing cycle, which is every 30 days. And you have to have a statement in hand at least 14 days prior to when your payment is due. Well, heck, buy now, pay later. How many different purchases might you have made in a 14-day period if you're using that, especially if you're buying Uber Eats and Taco Bell and using DoorDash like we discussed last week? So they got to win where they won't have to adhere to that with the statement rules and letting you know when things are due and stuff like that. So never used it, so I don't really know how it works. But what I do know is seeing a lot of these reporting on credit bureaus, and that's a big deal. And unfortunately, when they're reporting it as derogatory. So, so they scored a big win from a statement and how they keep you updated. Some other big changes this week came out. FHA, and listen to this, please, because it may affect some of you. New FHA citizenship residency requirements apply to not just FHA purchases, but also to reverse mortgages. Single-family mortgage programs, including home equity mortgages, on Wednesday put out a publication that restricts qualifications for FHA-backed mortgages to non-U.S. permanent residents. Non-U.S. permanent residents, okay? This guidance will be implemented immediately, but must be in place for all case numbers on or after May 25th. Permanent residents are eligible for FHA financing, provided the borrower satisfies same requirements, terms, and conditions for as that of a U.S. citizen. So when you're doing loans, you have sometimes what you have is considered a non-permanent resident. It's or NRA, non-permanent resident alien, and doesn't mean they're from Mars, but maybe they're over here paying taxes, doing everything, but don't have a green card. Well, now what they're requiring is you have to meet the same guidelines as a U.S. citizen. And a lot of this is because they're trying to free up housing pressure. There's just not enough homes out there. And we've been talking about this for a long time. When you've got 10, 12, 14 million, however many folks coming over, they're in houses. They're using up housing, right? So now they want to start freeing up some of these houses so they can get, it'll help make the market and move the market a little bit more. And this is just a little bit more of them saying, America first type of deal. So that's on government back. So now when it comes to conventional or conforming loans, we haven't seen anything on that as of yet. But I just wanted to make sure that you are aware if you're a non-permanent. I don't have any of these working right now, but if you are a non-permanent, and this is for reverse mortgages as well, which kind of crazy to think maybe you would have somebody that's above the age of 62 that owns a home that couldn't refinance because they're not indirectly a U.S. citizen. But so I don't have the stats. I didn't see any numbers on, how many millions of households this is or, hundreds of households or thousands of households. If we find out, we will. But basically what it's saying, it's got to have a green card. You got to adhere to the this rule. So that's a big deal because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, and when they say you got to have the case number by May 25th, what I was reading was a lot of this is that means when you apply for the application, when it's FHA, you're required to get a case number. So make sure if you're one of these folks or somebody, make sure and hey, they're buying a house. Ask them why they're not going to Mortgage Gumbo, right, first. But the other thing is make sure that you ask them, hey, is your lender going to be able to fund that loan? Right? That's a big deal. So, don't want to see people spending money and stuff like that. And so wanted to get that out there. I get questions all the time, and we're going to get into PC, inflation, and all that, and we've really got a great show planned for you today. But I get questions all the time, do you think I should get an inspection? And my answer is this. When you're about to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, is it not worth a couple $100? And when I say a couple $100, meaning 500 to, so it depends on the depth, right? Are you getting plumbing inspection, pipe inspections, all that? There's different things. But the answer to that is always and undoubtedly the same that I give. And it is at Mortgage Gumbo, we do not, the programs we have do not require an inspection. And that's why if you're a realtor, we always, ask you really don't put in there. I've seen contracts where it's like based on inspection. We know that you got a due diligence period, and that's fine, where you put 10, 14 days, whatever you're going to put there. But we do not are not worried about a few things, right? And you should be doing it, but a WDIR. The only time a WDIR is required, we have to see that is on a VA loan. Otherwise, when it comes to inspections, we recommend, but we don't require. And that's always the answer. And this week, the reason being is, and both clients were like, thank you so much. One was doing a for sale by owner, and we could get into why you should have a realtor and all that on another show. Love my realtors. Think you should always be using a realtor. But one was just uncertain because of the cost, right? Single mom, just went through a divorce, money's tight, and just was unsure. Well, it's a good thing we did on both of these. One of them had, was lipstick on a pig, and we're going to talk about renovations, right, and things you could do to spruce up your home. But one was major, and it was some AC stuff, and that AC work was going to be, and the realtor did a great job on this, but the seller's not willing to move, not willing to budge. So we're kind of going back and forth, and the single mom, is looking for something more turnkey, which is, again, why I'm sharing this spring special on the things you should be doing here. That's what people want in today's environment, right? They don't want to look at something and go, what do I have to fix up? Now, some people are able to do that. But not everybody could see the forest through the trees. And the other thing is not everybody's capable. There's a single mom, recently divorced, working her tail off, trying to find a house in a school district so she can get her kid to and from school while still having a full-time job. So when you go, hey, should you do that inspection? Well, she was very thankful and said, you were right. It was a minor. It was tough to come up with that money, but in the long run, it saved her thousands upon thousands of dollars because found out the AC was bunk. And they were going to do a home warranty and do all this stuff, but the work was going to be close to $7,000 to repair this. So the agent went back to the seller, and the seller said, nope, not willing to do it. And so they walked. And these are the things, and the reason I bring this up is, again, at Mortgage Gumbo, we're here to advise you, and we understand that this is a wealth-building tool is the home. So the last thing we want to do is have you get in that home and find, I don't know if any of y'all may be too young, some of the listeners, but the movie The Money Pit with Tom Hanks, great movie, and we don't want you getting into things and finding out things after the fact. So, look, we highly recommend, but don't require inspections. So I just wanted to make sure I brought that up because I get that question all the time. And it's a contingency in your contract. You'll usually see 10 to 14 days of due diligence, and that is going to give you time to have your inspector go out there, look at everything. Now, a lot of these reports are intimidating. They're 40, 50, 60 pages, saying a lot of stuff that is just in there, but, if it's an outlet that needs to be changed, look for the big-ticket items, right? That is what you want to be looking at there, and everybody has a different skill set. The other person that had one, it was some electrical stuff. Well, they're electricians, so they're able to overcome that. They told them, hey, here's what the cost is going to be. They negotiated that. They got it in seller-paid closing costs, and then they're coming less out of pocket, and then they know they will be able to take care of it from there. So, great point there. Just got to face WDIR is wood destroying insect report. So that's your termite report, and that is required. You want that, right? That is required for VA only. But what I ask realtors is, don't put that on your contract. That's something that y'all negotiate, and then we're not going to buy. If it's got a ton of termites, not going to buy it. But what happens is on some of these things, they get forgotten, they don't get done, and then maybe all of a sudden we got to wait on that to get the clear to close because we put in a contract, provide proof of clear WDIR. It's not an end-all, be-all, but it's something that, I like to have on the contract, the terms, and protect. It's a legal contract, and then we could always do addendums if we need to make sure that we're covering our buyer and the seller also being taken care of. I mean, this is a legal binding contract. So, all right, still to come. We got a lot. Hey, GDP, PCE came out this week. Our boy Jerry, we know we don't like him. I'm going to prove why. Again, this is why you listen. This is why the show's popular. This is why so many of you are trusting me with aunts, kids, nephews, cousins, brothers, and sisters, moms, dads. It's because we keep it real on the show and we go behind the scenes. So, going to explain again why Powell being reactionary and exactly what's going on when we look at these PCE numbers. And then new home sales are out as well. And wow. Don't go anywhere. We'll find you when we come back. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Steiner right here on iHeartRadio. 504-260-0995. Welcome back. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Steiner right here on iHeartRadio. Great song there. Here's a sidebar. What happened to the bird flu? Where eggs went up 240%. I don't understand what that, like the last 3 weeks, eggs have plummeted over 60% in cost. I don't know, things that make you go, right? Isn't that amazing? I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the rebirth of chickens and eggs and, can they give them stuff to all of a sudden make them producing that much more? But maybe the bird flu, I don't know. It's gone. All right, we're going to get into Powell. We got Rate Watch, mortgage applications are at their highest in 2 months. We've been telling you that. That just backs up what you already know here on Mortgage Gumbo. New home sales this week came out. And new homes is never going to compete with existing home sales. Remember, new homes is new construction, right? And it's never going to compete on a volume standpoint because most people can't wait to build. They don't have land. They can't afford to build, different type of thing. And they just want something that maybe now, right? And But what we do know is when we're looking at it, we know with new home sales, we can kind of see things coming through the pike. And it was up 1.8% in January, which is solid. Value-wise, home value, Case-Shiller up 4.1%. FHFA, which measures conforming loans only, was at almost 5%. So, again, when you talk about are homes a good investment, that's proof in the pudding right there. And there was another survey out, and I think many of you, or do you agree, 67% of folks would rather own than rent. Is that you? Or some people, I like the freedom of renting. Okay. What is your thoughts? Are you somebody that wants to own? Hey, how do I become a homeowner? What do I need? We have this. I have classes on this all the time. But parents, and I know tons of y'all listen, and you're probably in this number because you're sending your sweet babies over, aunts, uncles, cousins. And this is a did you know? The percentage of parents with a child 18 plus that they are supporting. In 2023, that number was 45. In 2024, it went to 47. 2025, it's at 50%. Now, I guess I would fall in that number because my son's 19, but he's a freshman in college. So while I know where they were going, and I forget it was one of these something tree or whatever, whoever did this survey or whatever, but that's still a big number when half of kids 18 plus are being supported by the parents. Because I know they're not all in school. So that is a huge, huge number. And we see it. I see today young folks, first-time home buyers, a lot are using Bank of Mom and Dad. And that's okay. Because I think Bank of Mom and Dad's ready to shut down and get out the house and want to walk around in their little mocks or negligee and kind of fall back in love, right? So they want to get mid-20s, late 20s kid out of the house. But I thought that was a pretty unique number there. What else we got here looking at? But mom, dad, here's probably why a lot of them are with you. Average debt per generation, Gen Z, 94,000. Millennials, 59,000. That's a huge drop-off. I mean, what's that? Carry this, carry that. What's that? 35,000 more Gen Z. Millennials, 59. Gen X, where you at, my Gen Xers? Holla at your buy. 53,000 per. And then boomers, 36,000. And here's what I could tell you for boomers, because I deal with reverse mortgages all the time. I'm helping so many folks. You want to know what a majority of that debt is? You financing your Gen Z or helping out your Gen X kids, grandkids with college and tuition and building up that debt. I see it all the time with my reverse mortgage clients. So just some new home sales there. What my point being is, in these new home sales, everything's up right now, and this is before we really started to see rate watch. This is January closing, so guess what that means? That was November, December. So I think as we move into spring, you'll see these numbers go up. Can't see them falling off anytime soon in that regard. All right, let's talk about Jerry, old Jerome. You know, PCE number, that's their biggest measure of inflation, came out yesterday, and it was much hotter. And I'm hoping that people are really starting to figure this out. And I've been talking about this, the last couple weeks on how the administration, if he's not going to lower rates and he's not going to do the things to sort of help out the pressure that's being put on with the tariffs and all these things. And last week he spoke, and the guy is just the most reactionary person. They're using the word transitory. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is, and you've heard me say this before, he goes to where the puck, and I'm not a hockey person at all, but if you think about this, can you play defense if you're going to where the guy's about to hit the puck, Or do you think you should go to where the puck's going to play defense? Same thing with baseball, right? Think about baseball. Does everybody, all 9 outfielders, stand at home plate while the pitcher throws the pitch? Then after it's hit, they go hurry up and run out and try to catch the ball or make a play? No. Right? So when we look at this, this is the part when my frustration, because I think we can all agree things have been tough when you're looking at gas prices, food, utility, health care, right? And to be saying it's transitory and to be coming out last week saying, well, we're going to look at things on a 1 month basis and inflation, their number that was put out 3 years ago now that they wanted to get to 2% is now up to 2.79 when you look at core inflation. And just last week he said, well, it's a 1 month. It doesn't determine a trend. It doesn't determine where the economy's headed. And, you know, I'm not the only one saying this. There's a lot of other folks out there that feel the same as I do. And, well, Jerome, I do track trends. And the fact is, if you look at where GDP is at over the last 6 months, it's at 3%. If you look at the last 3 months, which coincidentally starts taking in after you came in and did those cuts in September, then again in November. And if you remember, rates were falling back in August. But they couldn't keep themselves. Remember, it's not political. They were trying to win an election. Well, now what you're having because of this is you've stoked that fire on inflation. And really what we have going on right now is what's called stagflation. And that's wages are stuck, but costs are going up. But when you look at the trends, the fact is over 6 months, inflation's at, his number's 2%. It's going the wrong way. We're at 3%. The last 3 months, it's 3.5%. Jerry, if you're listening, this is the wrong direction. And again, when you look ahead like I do, because I want to be able to come on here and tell you, hey, here's what we're looking at, and we've been able to knock it out the park for you. When you start looking at what you've got to replace, right? When we're trying to replace last year's inflation number with next month's and stuff like that, it's going to be harder and harder to do that when you're replacing a lower number with a higher number. It's hard to beat that. So where these trends and what's going to start happening when you start looking at rate cuts and all that, I think the people, American people, you, me, all of us, we can all agree, some sort of relief, some sort of way. Now, they did say they're going to slow down the bond buying, which is good. That's a form. That's starting Tuesday. And then next week we'll be on the show and we'll be talking about this week's jobs report. Will they fudge that? Where will that come in? Because that's going to be a big determining factor as well. Because you remember, I started talking about this last unemployment. It was going down. And then all these Fed presidents, all these post gurus, they're not economists, most of them, number one, that's on it. That bothers the heck out of me. They're lawyers. They're appointed, right? And next week, jobs comes out. And I told you, if we hit 4.1, it was going to be sort of, DEFCON 3. I think we're going to be at 4.2 or even higher. And if we are, we're going to go to DEFCON 4. And for years, we've been talking about the government, all they've tried to do is slow everything down where you don't have to put people out of work to be doing these things. And I'm not here. I don't get paid. I'm not at that salary level. They're not asking my opinion. But you know what, Gumbo Nation? You are. That's why you listen. So I just want you to be aware. That's why when you see, and if next week we come on in and we're like, hey, unemployment's now at 4.2 or so, they're going to start feeling the pressure to start cutting, which is going to help you when it comes to those credit cards. that debt, those student loans. So I want you to keep that in mind. And why? Why, Jerry? Why do we need relief? 9.7 million student loan borrowers. Remember the moratorium? You had 3 years. Don't worry. Extend it. Don't worry about making this payment. This, that, or the other. 9.7 million student loan borrowers are past due. I didn't hear the Fed talking about this when he spoke last week. This is having a huge effect on clients who are coming in who are wanting to purchase. Because once you go past due, we've got to treat your student loan debt differently. And we get, hey, if it's deferred or something like that, that's fine. But there's certain calculations we have to do. And when some of these are falling past due, like I'm saying, then there's a little bit of a difference. But let me help you with that. Don't go, I missed a student loan payment or I've been late. Oh, no, I can't buy a house. Yes, you can. We'll help show you how. So I know I get on Jerry a lot on here, but at some point, man, the infutility's just got to stop. And I come in with the current administration's doing, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna start forcing the hand on this because we've got to help. We've got to help. We don't need to send everybody into a spiral. They're staying, but you got to crawl before you can walk and walk before you can run. And I think we know that here at Mortgage Gumbo. At least that's the point I'm trying to help everybody understand. All right, on the other side of the break, get your notepads ready. I'm going to help you out and get you your spring financial house in order. But also, you're thinking about selling or those honeydew projects, you're about to head out and, what is the best return on investment? You don't want to miss that. And a rate watch. So awesome to have you with us. Stick around. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein right here on iHeartRadio, 504-260-0995. Welcome back. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Steiner right here on iHeartRadio. Got a great question over the break. Hey, how do I know how much, 72 years old, how do I know how much money I can get with a reverse mortgage? So, look, it's an actuary test, right? It's one of those things where how do you come up? What is the formula? A little bit more goes into it than that, but shoot me an email to info@mortgagegumbo.com. I've got a way to look at what your home value is. Hey, if you want to know what your home value is, we can help you out with that. Send you information to info@mortgagegumbo.com. Been helping a lot of people also. Look, if you're thinking about listing your home, hey, you trust me with your lending, you can trust me with getting it sold as well. That's one of the reasons why we're doing what we're talking about today. Hey, we're here to help our sellers as well, right? We want you to, when you do list your house, we want you to be able to get it sold and get top price. It's a wealth building tool. We can't tell you how great it is to buy a home and build wealth, and then when it's time to sell it, leave you out in the cold. Heck no. We're going to teach you how to get top value for your home. But when it comes to the reverse mortgage, I've got a calculator that I can look at, but there's a few things that you need more than just, hey, here's how old I am. So get with me, info@mortgagegumbo.com. The home away from the show, 504-207-7600, or just go to mortgagegumbo.com. I've always got somebody on standby, and then I could get back to you. All right, let's get into our weekly segment we like to call Rewatch. Hey, the trend's our friend. We like it. This week was a little touchy during the week, but yesterday the PCE report came back, the talk of tariffs. We'll see what happens next week when it comes to the jobs report. But listeners, are you working with a lender? And I get everybody's not coming through Mortgage Gumbo. Would I love to help everybody? Absolutely. But are your lenders doing like I do for mine and knowing the trends, knowing when not to lock you in and when to lock you in, right? Rates all during this week were kind of trending in the wrong direction. Well, we wasn't locking in. We were looking at what was going to happen. What do we have, right? So we were sort of floating that. And then we protect our clients with floating some of the rates. And then yesterday, when rates got much better, well, hey, we took advantage of that, knowing if we've got people that are going to be closing in the next 15 to 30 days, right? Looking at that. But I'm always going to ask you, hey, what do you want? Everybody's a little bit different. People have different risk levels. But I'm going to call you and go, hey, here's what we're looking at. What are your thoughts? 30-year conventional, 6.79. Last week, that was at 6.72. It's not that that's trending. It's all kind of in the same. It's a little bit higher midweek, but we're still in that 6.7 range, like the trend. 15-year, 6.16. FHA, 6.21. Jumbo, 6.92. And VA, 6.22. 10-year treasuries at 4.345. Gumbo Nation, you just got to make sure. Please be careful. Been telling you the vultures, several folks this week, take advantage of the free second look. If you get a quote from somebody else, send it over to me. My investors, because you're a Mortgage Gumbo listener, will look at it and see if we can match or even beat it. Was able to beat 2 of them this week, and a lot of folks are being misled. Have one lady, poor thing, she wants to believe these other people, telling her 5.5%, no points, no this, and then she gets the disclosures, and it's 6.75, right? I mean, but so where is your loyalty? Is it to your pocketbook or to that online lender? These folks don't know the market. They don't understand, so be very careful, especially right now as refinances are starting to ramp up. All right, let's talk about, we're going to get into some renovation things, and let's talk real quickly about spring cleaning your financial home. And I've listed 5-6 items here I think that are important, and this is even if you aren't a homeowner, right? Let's just remove some of that clutter. So how do we remove clutter and spring cleaning your financial house? And number one is purge the paper. A lot of us have a lot of paper. Let technology help you out. There's an app for that. Get it digitized. Organize your paper, your records, right? Maybe get it organized and get it in an app or a website that can manage all this for you. So that way, the other thing is too is, visit these, go see these like opt-out pre-screen. Some of these .coms out there that could keep you from getting all these mail solicitations and credit applications and you're pre-approved and stuff like that. So purge the paper. Audit your subscriptions. And I've done this, and I've saved hundreds. And I talked about this in 23 and 24 at the beginning of last year when you're trying to really buckle down. Man, get your statements for any credit cards you got, lay them on a table, and find out where those little $6.99s and $7.99s are adding up. They're like little gnat bites that keep adding up on you. So audit your subscriptions. Number 3, consolidate accounts. Or you getting feed to death, right? Do you have everything in a bunch of different bank accounts that maybe you're getting you're getting feed to death? So check out what are your account fees and what are the requirements. And you can also do that with your credit cards as well, right? Is one credit card charging you a big old fee? Get with them. Now, you don't want to throw everything on one card because that could hurt your credit score if all of a sudden you start maxing out limits. But make sure, look at the fees you're being charged and consider consolidating your accounts. And here's one also, automate savings. Look, you probably got something out if you work with a company where you're putting into your 401k or something like that, and hey, maybe you're satisfied with that and it's growing healthy. Get with your HR department. You can also have money go directly into another checking account or maybe something else, right? Earmark it for some sort of other account for cash or, tax refunds or savings, stuff like that you could earmark it to certain accounts. A lot of self-employed people like me, hey, additional money all year I'm throwing into an extra bank account that I mark tax return. So that way the pain isn't that big when I get that number if I'm not able to save money and I got to owe the Fed. Number 5, back it up. And what I mean by that is have a master file or key. Look, every one of my closings gets a USB drive with all their important information on that. Why a USB drive? Because, look, we've got to evacuate every now and then here. And, again, I don't want to give you more paper. But, again, we've talked about apps. Go look at, find out what is there. Can you put stuff on a cloud? Right? That way you keep one password and all your stuff is in one place, but you want it backed up. You want to make sure that you have that all backed up. And then lastly, what are your bigger financial goals, right? Check in with that. Talk to your financial advisor. And if you don't have a financial advisor, we understand that. But are you in line with what your larger goals are that you're trying to make happen? Whether it's buying a house, whether it's saving up for a wedding, hey, maybe you've got a 11-year-old daughter that one day, hey, maybe you got 2 daughters, maybe you got a son, hey, a grandbaby on the way. What are your financial goals and check in with that? And that also includes making sure your affairs, when we talk about big financial goals, all your affairs in order. And what I mean by that is, hey, do you have an executor if you've got a bunch of assets? Do you have a will set up? Do you have an estate plan set up? And if you don't know where to start with that, get with me. I can help you with that. We have the Total Home Authority. So keep these things in mind. So that is the biggest things there when you're looking at your financial house and spring cleaning. Those 6 items there are what we highly recommend, and it's able to save you money and have everything easy, and you'll be amazed at the ease and just the sense of satisfaction that you're going to feel when you know you got everything in one place. It's safe, secured, and your affairs are in order. All right, stick around. Our last segment, about to put some money in your pocket if you're a seller or you're getting those honeydew. You're in the car, you're listening, you're heading over to one of those big box stores to get some stuff done. Well, slow down, because you want to make sure you're not just throwing that money away. We're going to talk about what are some of the best return on investments when it comes to home renovations. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein right here on iHeartRadio. MortgageGumbo.com. 504-260-0995. Welcome back. Final segment, MortgageGumbo.com. Glad to have you with us. Looks like going to have a little poopy weather today. Stay dry. I know some of these parades are getting canceled. St. Patty's Day's parades that keep getting rescheduled. Man, that really stinks. But stay dry. Hey, if you go over to Spotify, go over to iTunes, go to YouTube, type in Mortgage Gumbo, get you some more education, get your education on. All right, so what are some of the top? This is continuing our spring special here, and what are some of the top projects or home improvements for the best return on your investment? And this is for those, hey, my sellers out there. If you're thinking about listing your home or just looking at some honey-dos. So, and keep in mind, I mean, when somebody comes over to visit, you can always just throw all the dirty clothes in the laundry room or in the closet and shut the door, right? But when somebody's pulling up to the house, curb appeal is the key, is what I want to kind of bring up here, because a lot of these you're going to be hearing about or outdoor things. And, pride of ownership starts with when, you work hard, you come home after a long day, or you come back after, that pride of ownership. And some people have green thumbs, right? There's different things out there. So let's kind of talk about some of those things. And number one, return on investment. And this is crazy. And it is garage door replacement. It's a return on investment of almost 200%. And that's replacing your garage door. Now, what I did was, I pressure washed mine. I cleaned it up. Then you could go over to Amazon and get these garage door decals that look brand new, and you could change the whole look. They look so realistic. I get stopped all the time going, hey, where'd you get your garage at? And for about $50, I was able to clean up my garage door and give it an entirely different look. I modernized it to make it look modern, right? So what you're looking at is garage door replacement is almost 200% of value. Entry doors, not just the color Find out what the trend is, and you'd be amazed at some of the colors, but like black is huge. But entry doors, especially if you go with a steel door, over 180% return on investment. And this is something you don't think about, but people want that nice entry, right? And when you're looking at, hey, do you maybe have windows next to the door when you're coming in, right? So, but entry doors, this is a huge thing here with over 180%. Next return, over 150%, is replacing siding with stone veneer. I don't think that is something here in the South. You don't see a bunch of people with stone veneer outside their house. But what you do see is hardy board, right? So when you're looking at hardy board and when you're looking at these things, these are huge things. Now, they say the stone veneer is 150%, but hardy board is over 90%. So you're getting your return on your money. And even if you just replace vinyl siding, sometimes this stuff gets burnt, stained. I mean, look, it's plastic. It fades due to the sun. That's 80%. And you're seeing all these things, Gumbo Nation, these are all outside, right? If you put a transom window over your front door, that's 100% return on your investment. Now you got structures. Can you do it? Can you not do it? All those things. But when you're looking at these things, Gumbo Nation, these are the biggest returns on your investment. Right? That landscaping. Right? Throwing that fresh mulch. New mailbox, lighting. These things here are 100% investment. And it seems silly, but you put some fresh flowers. Put some fresh mulch out. I did some landscape lights with the different colors so I can change seasons. And the neighbors are always commenting how cool it is, right? Got the little Easter theme going right now. St. Patty's, you had the green. Mardi Gras had the purple, green, and gold.
2 minutes.
So let's hop inside the house. Painting, 107%. While paint's even a little bit more expensive than it used to be, you're getting over 100% return on your money. What about those kitchen and bath remodels? Well, if you want to do it on a budget, maybe those cabinets in those kitchen and baths, resurface them, repaint them instead of replacing them. But on major remodels in your kitchen, you're looking at 60%. Bathroom remodels are 70%. So now we're getting half to a third of our money. So unless this is going to be those honeydews where you plan on being there for a while, then understand it's going to take you some time to recoup that. But like we said, resurface those cabinets, right? Maybe
1 minute.
Add some backsplash. Change out that sink to a stainless sink, maybe a farmhouse sink. That bathroom remodel, just a new mirror, some new lighting, new hardware. These are some cheaper things that'll look good, bring it up to date, and help you get all that return on your money. That's what this is about. Home is a wealth-building tool, and we want to make sure that we're helping you get your best return on investment. All right, Gumbo Nation. Stick around. We're going to be on Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks this first hour. And until next week, keep stirring the pot.